Hello, true duelists. My name's Craig Fee, and welcome to the new card report. The Maze of Millennia, Konami's follow-up to Maze of Memories from last year, continues the trends of the original set, not just for having a handful of nice reprints and new cards, but also it takes a Duel Monsters card, prints it some fusion support, and calls it an archetype. There's way too many cards here, so I'm not going to delay you anymore. It's Flame Swordsman time, baby. Fighting Flame Swordsman is a level 4 fire warrior with 1800 attack and 1600 defense that on normal or special summon can add a spell or trap that mentions Flame Swordsman from deck to hand, and if it itself is sent to the grave, can send a Flame Swordsman or card that mentions it from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, except for a copy of itself. So visually, is this like Joey but as Flame Swordsman? Am I the only one seeing that? Probably not. It's just like it doesn't matter either way. I just am curious. It's a Stratos for the spell and trap, which is pretty solid. Giving you access to your spell cards in a fusion-based deck is probably a good thing. Certainly it's rarely bad. And the Foolish Burial effect is pretty solid because, as you will soon see, everything here is just meant to go into your graveyard and ultimately become an equip spell. And that's not talking about like the actual equip spells I'll be covering in a moment. It covers like damn near everything. Look, it's a respectable it's a respectable start to a nostalgia pandering archetype, and we'll see if they're able to keep that up moving forward. Salamandra, the Flying Flame Dragon, is a level 2 fire monster with 700 attack and 1600 defense that'll give any Flame Swordsman or monster that mentions it that it is equipped to 700 attack. Also no worries because this can equip itself from the hand or grave to any warrior you control. Cute! You could equip it to a non-Flame Swordsman card and just be useless. It also has the effect that when it's sent to the grave, it'll add any Salamandra spell or trap from the deck to the hand, which is a lovely way to include the original equip spell into this new support, I guess. I don't know why we had to divide the spell and trap into two categories, but it is what it is. It's really nothing phenomenal or special, but it's another spell and trap searcher, and that's not a bad thing. Mind you, I'm saying that like there's an abundance of cards in this deck to play at all, so probably being a searcher merits it being a 3 of anyways. There's also Mirage Swordsman, a nice throwback to that one monster from the anime, a sentence that it can apply not only to this card and like half the deck, but also like half the cards I talk about in general. This is a level 8 fire warrior with 2800 attack and 2000 defense that can summon itself from the hand or grave if a fire fusion monster you control is destroyed by a card effect. It can also pull a Shaddoll construct of sorts when it battles, able to destroy whatever monster it battles at the start of the damage step. And also itself. They both die. We all die down here. That's what I love about a big 2800 beater myself personally, suicide. The last effect triggers if it's destroyed by battle or another card's effect, not its own, and will cheat out any level 7 or lower monster that is Flame Swordsman or mentions it from either the main or the extra deck. Well, that is a card. I don't think it gets you a whole lot. I mean, it's a free 2800 beater if your monster dies, but I'm not really taken aback by. I'm not wowed here, okay? I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by your performance. Shoutouts to that one French dude that one time. So I don't know, maybe it's like a fun of, a one of. I could be wrong. Maybe this is super secret really solid, but I'd like to be right, if only so that Mirage Knight and its Retrain here can both be bad. That would be funny, so let's pretend it's true regardless of whether or not it is. Ultimate Flame Swordsman is where you're going to see this deck strategy come together, because this level 8 Fire Warrior fusion will need Flame Swordsman and, in particular, Fighting Flame Dragon as fusion material. It has 2800 attack and 1600 defense, and will let you target an opponent's monster and destroy it, as well as inflict 500 damage. That is a quick effect, but only while it is equipped with an equip spell, which is cute. It also has the really crazy effect that at the start of the damage step, if it battles, you can double the attack of this card until the end of the turn, but it will be destroyed in the end phase. Now that's a hell of a card. In this deck, it's a quick effect because when are you not going to have an equip? And that's really what matters most to people, is that in its deck it works well regardless of how well its deck works. Or that's the vibe I get from most people. You've got the 700 attack equip spells. There's more. We're going to cover more of them. Even 2 of them will get this card an extra 1400 attack on top of the 2800 base. Will get you to 4200, which, you know, twice is game if you can manage to clear the field, which it does have a pop effect and burn. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's a cute little OTK strategy. And believe me, there's far more equips to cover. So I assume you're just going to build up to this guy, load him up with equips, and swing big for game and call it a duel. That's probably on theme for Joey. And going first, it's not even that bad because, again, if you give it an equip, there is some bit of disruption and maybe burning in time. It's a solid enough boss monster. So let's look at another equip spell for it, shall we? Fighting Flame Dragon is that big old boss monster's fusion material, but it's also a level 5 fire dragon with 1700 attack and 1600 defense. The materials to summon this card are any dragon monster and any fire warrior, although you almost certainly won't be summoning it. This, or at least not, by fusing. Fusing. You won't be doing the fusing. This has the quick effect to target a fusion warrior monster you control and equip it with this card from either your field or graveyard as an equip spell. And if that warrior is Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it, it'll gain 700 attack and it can attack twice. That's a big punch arc, so that means you're getting 42 twice because you doubled to 42 and then you're attacking twice. That's 16,000 damage. Not too bad for an OTK. Not to mention, you don't even have to summon it out because you can cheat it out with like Fighting Flame Swordsman. You just dump it into the graveyard. And I keep saying that, and you may be wondering, well, how would you summon it? How would you summon Ultimate without first summoning this? But I'll get to it because as this is clearly the best equip in the equip deck strategy native to this equip deck, it's summon big, punch bigger. And now for those damn spell cards, because half the cards I've mentioned rely on them at this point, and we all want to know what it is they do. Flaming Sword's Realm is a funny name for a continuous spell, and is searchable off the knight but not the dragon, since it mentions the boy, but it isn't named Salamandra. I don't know why they divided the spell and trap lineup, we just have to live with it. While it's on the field, this will make it so the opponent can't activate cards or effects in the response to a normal summon of a fire warrior, which is nice, but the main effect is the second one. Able to send a monster from your hand or face-up field to the grave to special summon a Flame Swordsman from the extra deck, treating it as a fusion summon. And once returned, when a monster declares an attack, you can target a warrior monster you control. Until the end of the turn, that target will lose 1,000 attack, but all the other monsters you control will gain 1,000. I like that last effect because it's just like, what's this Warrock ass effect doing on this card here, huh? What are we doing? Monsters declaring attacks and then manipulating attack stats to make one weaker and then the rest big. Why not? Why not? You can do it, you can have fun. Have your way and eat it too. There's some slogan I've completely forgotten. I'm way off course here, okay? The main reason you're playing it is because it lets you, get into the fusion. And by the fusion, I mean Flame Swordsman, because it mentions Flame Swordsman, not the big level 8 fusion. But it is searchable off of the Fighting Flame Swordsman, which is important because that card will become a 1-card starter for this entire deck strategy. You can summon the Swordsman, search this, send this to summon out Flame Swordsman. You send the level 2 Salamander Dragon with the Fighting Flame Swordsman's effect, and then you can get the ball rolling from there, because at that point you're going to be searching another spell card, namely a Salamandra one. And likely the card you'll be searching is Salamandra Fusion, a fusion equip spell. Should all players eat your fucking hearts out. This card can only be equipped to a Fire Warrior monster, and it will give it, you're not going to believe this, 700 attack. It can also not be destroyed by battle or card effect once by destroying this instead of the target, which is cool. It's got a little protection effect. But the most important thing is that while it's on a fusion monster you control, you can send both that monster and this card to the grave to fusion summon Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it, and that will be treated as a fusion summon. I dig that, because then if you're going off that aforementioned combo, normal fighter, search swords, to search the continuous spell, send fighter to summon Flame Swordsman, fighter send the level 2 dragon, search this, equip this to your newly summoned Flame Swordsman, and now you've jumped up into that level 8 boss monster of choice. I can see the play, I see the lines, I see every equation. All just for a really simple OTK. Either way, it's not that exciting to me, but it is nice to see. It's at least legacy support that works, although the splitting of the spell and traps into 2 separate categories is very weird. I'm not sure why they couldn't all be one, but who knows. And you know what? Fuck you, have another spell card. Fighting Flame Sword sounds like an improperly translated card name, but is in fact this card's name. It's a quick play spell that can use one of 3 effects. First, can add any card from your deck to your hand that mentions Flame Swordsman, except for a copy of this, or it can be used to target and destroy a card on the field, but only when an attack is declared involving a fire warrior monster you control, or alternatively, it could also negate a card from the opponent that targets a Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions Flame Swordsman that you control. And you know what? That's solid. It's following the trend of ROTAs having bonus effects that is now just standard, meaning that it's good to see to keep your plays going if nothing else by being a ROTA. But it can also potentially double as targeting protection from something like Imperm or Valor, and while the removal sucks that you need to wait until the battle phase, it is at least some form of removal, which could be relevant if you're swinging twice with 8200 or 8400 or whatever the number is. Lord knows you'll be gunning for the battle phase in this deck anyways. A ROTA with flexibility is a damn good ROTA. Making that same ROTA a quick play makes it a pretty damn great ROTA, I would think. Salamandra with Chain is another search target for Little Salamandra Dragon, and it's another reference. Every single Joey deck in existence just has to get an X with Chain card, doesn't it? This normal trap will equip itself to a fire monster on the field, and go ahead and guess how much attack you gain once it's equipped. Yeah, it's 700. Once it is equipped, you can then also put an effect monster into face-down defense position, which is a nice Book of Moon that doesn't target as well. It also has the graveyard effect to banish itself and then fusion summon a fire dragon or warrior monster from your extra deck by shuffling the materials into your deck from either your hand, field, or grave. And then kill it in the end phase because it destroys itself in the end phase, which, hey man, triggers Mirage Swordsman or something. I'm pretty sure that only matters if you're recycling the materials, right? Like you just want to put this in the graveyard and then make a fusion, but mostly put the materials back in the deck to keep the grind game going. That seems more relevant to me than the equip on the opponent's turn for 700 attack. Maybe that's just me, but I don't see that being particularly relevant. It's not like that's an effect this deck is fucking missing. It's not a bad effect, the graveyard one, especially if you're, playing this. The whole segment fell apart. I don't really see this being played a ton, but what do I know? It's a Book of Moon, which maybe I'm underselling. Who the fuck knows? Let's just look at the last card. Flame Swordsman Dance is a sick Pokemon team name, or I would have thought so at the age of 14 at the very least, and it's also another normal trap for the deck. If a monster is special summoned, you can activate this card to special summon a level 7 or lower fusion monster that is Flame Swordsman or mentions it, and then you can change a monster on the field to face down defense position. It also has the graveyard effect that's to banish itself from the grave and then tribute one set monster on the field during the opponent's battle phase in order to summon a Flame Swordsman or monster that mentions it from your main or extra deck. Again, probably better for the graveyard effect, but you also need the first effect to have Book of Mooned it, because otherwise you can't get it. The graveyard effect's what gets out the level 8, and that's what matters a whole lot more. It's just otherwise like the OG Flame Swordsman, or I guess that new Flame Dragon and what is it, Flame Knight? Dark Magician and Flame Swordsman's fusion. Nothing fantastic. Even then, the Book of Moon effect is cool, but you ultimately want to use it on your own monster, because you need to be tributing your monster to get the second effect from the graveyard, because you can't tribute the opponent's monsters, regardless of whether or not they're set. That's just game mechanics. It seems a touch underwhelming, being a trap and all, but thankfully there's enough to use from it that's worth enough, and that's what is this sentence? But thankfully there's enough to use apart from this that it's all fine, even if it isn't fine. Okay, I get you. Also, what the hell, Konami? This is supposed to equip to a monster and give it 700 attack somehow. Haven't you been paying attention? Where's that effect? All in all, I don't think it's bad. It reminds me a lot of the Gate Guardian support, and not just because it's a Duel Monsters era nostalgia bait from a Maze set that focuses on a fusion series of support for a card used in the first 20 episodes of the anime, which, my god, either way, there's a very clear plan for this deck, and while it lacks the main deck monsters to really be a deck by itself, I think it's decent enough. Between Fighting Swordsman and Little Salamandra, you could probably make a little engine out of this, right? Just throw in one apiece of Swords Land and the fusion spell, and then some amount of the dragon and the little fighter in the main deck. Am I right? Who knows? I don't really feel that there's enough here to stand on its own is the more point I'm making. Like, sure, you've got your flexible ROTA that's solid, and the traps could be cute, but I don't think the traps are doing anything that Fusion Armament probably can't do better. Don't mistake me. There's enough here to play it by yourself if you want to, but there's also not enough here to justify if you'd want to play it as an engine alternatively. I just think it's a simple, fun nostalgia deck more catered to locals than it is the metagame. And that's not bad, but there is a metagame, and that's personally what I tend to view things through. Maybe I'm just a DM nostalgia hater as well. Who knows? There's a bit of disruption here with the level 8. There's enough generic fire theming from it to be splashable, and if nothing else, there's warriors. And there's going to be support for this deck that works with it because warriors. I don't think adding this to Infernoble would improve Infernoble as a deck, but adding Infernoble to this will certainly, if nothing else, help it be slightly more playable. The Rendell's a card, baby. One more need be said. So that's all I've got for this, because it's just dual monster support. I can only take so much of it. My brain is slowly destroying itself. And I'm here to slowly destroy this segment by really forcing this segue to tell you to spend money on the LIFD magnetic display. That's right, the #1 way to support my channel and a true duelist approved way to show off your favorite cards, regardless of how often you play them. Because that's the joke every time I feature these things, but one day I'll build that deck. Either way, if you want to display your favorite cards, your least favorite cards, or anything, you can use promo code YGOSTRATS15 for 15% off, or you can have the automatic applied discount by clicking the link in the description. Reading, folks, it's difficult. As always, I've been your host, Gregory Feganite, just covering some of the new cards in this week's update. Nope, that's not how this goes at all. Just covering some of the new cards. The regular update will be out on Friday as usual. There you go. Until then, I've been the man, the myth, the legend, not totally awesome. Make sure you hit subscribe, folks. Not only will you become a true duelist, but you'll be impressing that smoking Italian wife. And you can decide which of those two options is more important to you. But either way, you need to hit subscribe for either to apply.